So, we are talking about a very retail Christmas. And of course, I am so excited because I am not alone in talking about this just absolutely bizarre movie. I got Fredster2000 here, and thank you so much for joining me.
Hi there. It's great to be here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just kick it off with what you kind of thought about the movie.
Yeah, I just found the movie so fascinating specifically as a time capsule of the late 80s and like the specific fears and anxieties that adults had during the late 80s, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Because there taps into like this uncertainty with like big corporations and massive layoffs and this sort of fear of change that I thought was like really prevalent in like that specific era of pop culture.
It's so funny because I showed this to a friend of mine, and first off, he's like, "Well, it's wild because the guy that voices Alf is one of the main guys." But more to your point, he was like, "Is he also kind of doing a like Reagan voice?"
Oh, is that what that's supposed to be? Okay.
I mean, maybe,
That
maybe
makes sense.
not.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I see. I'm utterly fascinated with these movies that are like really seemingly made for like everybody, but ends up being for no one. like,
Yeah, I was about to say that's a great point.
like it's too kiddie for adults, but it's too like adult oriented for kids.
That's a really good point. I was just about to. That's in my notes. It's like I thought it was for kids at first, but like the whole first scene is like this, like boardroom meeting that's like really serious and like has implications for their careers, and it's like, oh, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and like speaking of, I'm like kind of looking it up now, but like the like puppets are really well done. I mean, they look very like Jim
They are.
Henson, and it's got a really excellent cast. Like Ed O'Neill, like how first of all,
Yeah.
we have to unpack that. So, what did you think of Ed O'Neill's performance?
I thought it was cute. Like it just through his performance alone, it kind of drove home the childishness of it.
Mhm.
Um, he was like a Disney villain. He was like the kind of cr- uh yeah, Disney villain, comic book villain. He hammed it up. I appreciated that. And I always thought I grew up like watching Married with Children segments, just
Mhm.
like growing up, just like just catching it on TV. And I always thought Married with Children was like a kids show or like a sitcom or a sitcom for kids.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why I got that impression, but I think it's just his acting is always just this like big cartoonish. I think like just like the vibe of that whole show was very kind of big and garish and cartoonish, or it just might be the 80s.
Yeah.
Just like how everything was shot in the 80s. I
Oh,
don't know.
totally. Like,
Because Modern Family is very grounded, right? He's very like normal,
yeah,
relatively, in
yeah.
Modern
Like
Family.
the show, like Married with Children, was definitely like a product of his time, but like it definitely kind of had a little bit of over the top satirical kind of edge to it. But yeah, I love just how over the top Ed O'Neill is in this. Like, and to your point, like it it does really work in this sort of like whimsical setting. There's that like gag where the writers like loved it so much they were like, we got to do this thing twice. The
Oh, I
innuendo
think I
about
know. I think I
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah. Great little joke there. You know, in the height of the AIDS crisis.
oh
I
right,
just have
yeah.
to say, like that's the time and place we're talking about
And yeah, he's like,
when they make
oh
those jokes.
yeah, he's like, no, 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 it's not, you know. I'm like, oh my god, this is
Oh no,
yeah,
no,
it's
no more age well, guys.
yeah, I mean it's cringe, but like so like I'm like out and openly queer, and like I even
Mhm.
though like I can acknowledge that it's super cringy, like it's far enough removed that I'm like, I can kind of, I guess, laugh at it, or maybe even laugh at how.
It's not the worst. It's definitely not the worst portrayal of gays in the 80s or 90s media. Oh god.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it has this, the whole special kind of has this like cynicism, and then it just tries to do like the hardest 180.
Yeah, toward the end, like the very end. No, Christmas is about like giving, or I think that was the message. I would have never gotten that. It's so strange.
And it's very short. I mean, it's like the YouTube thing I sent you was like 30 minutes, but it had commercials.
With commercials. Yeah.
So that's one thing that's good, is it does not overstay its welcome. It's definitely one of those, like, I had ever even heard of this, and like, I love Christmas specials. Like, I'm such a fanatic for those. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, especially stuff that like I grew up with, because I'm like 100 million years old.
How did you even find this? That's so random.
Yeah, so I was actually at the Alamo Draft House, and I guess it was one of their like holiday shows last year, and so they pre-programmed stuff to kind of fit with the feature, and they were showing like these random clips from like holiday specials, like really bizarre ones. And the scene that they played was when it's like smash cut to these elves tied up, you know, which is the most amazing.
Oh, there was that joke. Yeah, there was that joke when the elves were tied up, where one of the elves says, "Oh, it's not what it looks like," and I was like, "Oh my god, is that a BDSM joke in 1989?" Oh my god, very very progressive for a 80s Christmas movie, I have to say.
Yeah, just like wild. But luckily when they played that clip, they like showed what it was from, so I was like, okay, I'm obsessed now. So it was funny because like it must have been super recently or semi recently put on YouTube, because how I had to view it was like another, maybe the Internet Archive, I can't recall. But it was the same rip, because it had like the commercials and everything. It's on YouTube, and oh my god, it's
Thank God for media preservation like that, honestly.
Yeah, and I did you watch the commercials too? Because I'm also like a sucker for like those old. Like...
I did kind of skip over it just because like I was in a hurry that time, but like I do like old commercials. Like there is that charm that like, oh, this is how carefree people wanted to present themselves, not like in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, where you have to like pretend you're trying or pretend you're not trying, and then be like apathetic. Like back then it was all like, you have to be like, we're all happy all the time, and this is life realistically, which is not, but
yeah, but it is interesting, like you were saying, kind of viewing it from that like lens of the era it was made and like the time and everything, which I think is kind of a cool pivot to like your channel. And I like,
oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Like the amount of research like you must do for these videos is like mind-boggling. Like how long does a video well, I guess average video for you take from start to finish?
Hey, I appreciate those words so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, just in between my other commitments, I try to keep it at 2 weeks, but I'm obviously not following that. Some videos have very little research, and I just go off my memories and my own feelings about the topic, and just kind of a very sort of relatively surface level research. Like my most popular video on my channel is about like pop song parodies on YouTube, which was just these dumb YouTube channels that made fun of Katy Perry and Lady Gaga. And that one was barely like, I just sort of put some, if you remember him, Bart Baker parodies in the background while while doing other stuff. So that wasn't that much research, but it did take me like 2 weeks to script, to edit, and all that. But sometimes the research can get really heavy. My last video was about Disney, like this sort of 90s moral panic, and I had to like search old newspapers to find like how people reacted, and that was crazy. Like that was it was really going back in time to like this particular era in history when this is how people reacted. And I just like that kind of research. It is a little, hard to to get sources that old, but yeah, I think I'm just most fascinated. To my point, the very when we started was I like seeing like little time capsules or little moments in time of how things were like at a certain point. And my channel specifically focuses on just like 10 to 15 years ago, when I was like really on the internet.
Yeah, and that it is such a fascinating time period. And I do love, like, you were saying about like including the news articles and like really capturing like what people thought. Like I love stuff like that because it is such a window into like a very specific like time, attitude, like all, the whole spectrum.
Yeah, and I think the internet is just where I grew up with, but like this movie is so specific to the 80s. So, this this goddamn Christmas movie, so specific to the 80s. Or when I did like that one video about the 90s, like there's something there. Like you can find these little pieces, how the people interacted, but it's just like in the internet era, it's all preserved in like forums, internet archives. It's all there. Like you can look at it right now, and I just think that's cool to go back and see those.
It's not that this particular piece is like that kind of tied into the kind of stuff you do on your channel, but in a way, like it being kind of preserved online kind of makes it feel like an internet curiosity in a way.
Oh yeah, I love media preservation of like these old things. Lost media is so fascinating to me, and I do think that media preservation is important. Although there is kind of a fine line between that and like just stealing. Like I don't want to rip anybody's like ability to make money or income from their own work. That I made a whole video about that, about content theft. But no, I just wish that like media, like there wasn't any lost media. That would be great, because it is still a window into this time period, and I thank God that this movie can be seen by people now. The very retail Christmas. I mean, it's great that we can talk about it and glimpse at what the time was like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I guess like we're both saying though, it's such a weird glimpse into like the anxieties, the corporate overlord.
Although to be clear, like this movie in particular was not the first or the last big corporation bad movie ever made. Like there are plenty of those, and I think it's like very relevant in 2024.
Oh right.
Like I don't mind. Like it's fine to have those movies. It's just, but usually in those movies, it's like a plucky teenager and her ragtag team of friends band together to fight the evil corporate overlords. This is the first time I've seen that concept, the big bad corporation, but like in in the context of like be a smaller corporation being swallowed by the bigger corporation. Like that's very adult. That is very like, oh, that's very specifically like 1989 or whenever this movie came out. Like that, like you're seeing these like employees of this. No, we're just like the innocent Americans, being swallowed up by the mergers and acquisitions. Just sleep paralysis. That's what a very retail Christmas reminded me of. Like kind of this like weird amalgamation of like it like a typical like what you'd expect with the puppets, but then like your waking life kind of seeps a little bit too much So you're imagining this is actually kind of a perfect like, am I dreaming? Oh God, is this real? Movie.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just so
you're right.
trippy.
And I love that, you know, there's like humans in this world too. So it's like, oh, did I just watch too much Married to Children and now Ed O'Neill popped into this fever dream?
Oh yeah, that's really good.
There you
That's a
go.
really good observation. It's
Brought it
all.
all around.
We've cracked like why how this movie was made, how it was conceptualized.
There you go.
It's just
We cracked
too
the code.
weird.
You heard
Noted.
it here,
So this is just like some 80s exec, like anxious, like the day before he heard about layoffs and he dozed off, watching Married with Children. He was scared about all these things, and there was like a Muppets Christmas special also, and yeah, now we cracked it. Congrats.
Yep, we got it. Just combined all those things. Like it, yeah, it really just does feel like a fever dream. Like it, and the fact that I mean, I love that the puppets are really well done, but it still kind of lends itself to this like uncanny valley, especially when you introduce like Ed O'Neill and like, you know, Chuck McCann as Santa Claus, or what was it, the guy oh my gosh, sorry, he played the ghost of Christmas Past, Mr. Belvedere.
That was a weird inclusion, or don't you think? Like, what did you think of
Yeah.
that moment?
Oh yeah, very random. Like, it's like, oh, okay, we're just going with another, you know, Christmas special, but I don't know, it's maybe it was in the public domain at this point, so they were like, well, we don't have to pay for.
Oh yeah, right.
And
And they lampshade it, like the characters say, oh, that was weird, like, oh, where did this character come from? and they just leave it at that. They don't explain it, they don't, which is kind of funny, charming in its own way, but it's also like, wow, you already reached like the 11th hour and you didn't know how to end this movie, so you're just like, I don't know, whatever, we have this costume, let's just go.
Oh my gosh, yes. See, now, yeah, okay, so I think you further cracked it. They just had one of these costumes from a Christmas Carol production. They're like, well,
right? Yeah. Yeah, these chains.
like maybe the guy that played Mr. Belvedere was just on the other lot, and they were like, hey, can we get you for like a second? And
we don't know how to end this movie. Because like because it's also like, I really was so sure that the hero of the story would be like the little kid, right?
oh,
They
yeah.
have this scene with the kid. He was the one who informed Santa Claus, like, hey, the workers are leaving. He has this intro moment, so I was like, okay, he's gonna come and save the day, sure, cute. And it wasn't. Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, it's and I mean, your ending definitely makes more sense, like including the kid like that. But in this fever dream, this almost feels like the more appropriate ending.
Oh yeah. It's like we've identified like 4 different things already that is pulled from 4 disparate things that are not related, and just concocted into like I have colds. I'm sick. He said fever dream, so I imagine like he was really sick, like high on cough medicine.
Yeah.
It's the holidays, people are busy, so like maybe that was
Oh my god.
kind of it.
We figured it out.
There was one more like detail that I just wanted to mention in the movie. They have this like gross out toy made by the big bad corporation.
Yeah.
It was like Baby Yuck Yuck.
Baby Upchuck.
And I was thinking, Upchuck, yeah, that's how what it was. And I was thinking, is this like a commentary on the Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah.
Or like the gross out toys of the 80s? Like, but it's like portraying them in a negative light. Like, this is bad. Don't fall for these like corporate overlords wanting you to buy gross out things. It almost puts like and obviously the other big weapon is like this action figure, which is really dangerous. Like, it shoots lasers, this action toy that shoots. And I was like, is that like a dig against the Transformers, or all those like big
Oh,
action-y toys.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just like that's what could that be referring to? Like it's making commentary that these toys are bad actually.
Yeah, like I definitely made the connection between like Garbage Pail Kids, or like they had those like Mad Balls. Do you remember those? I mean, that might be too young.
Uh, I've heard of those, yeah.
Um,
Maybe.
but, but yeah, like,
I think it's like an American thing. I think I heard it in like another place or something.
and not also because I'm old. It's okay.
Maybe.
But yeah, yeah, or but yeah, Transformers. I could definitely see. Like, I think maybe this might have been a little bit too early for like Power Rangers, but it is in that kind of, I guess, like pastiche of those kind of like toys and entertainment.
Yeah. Do you think they were trying to make a statement with like this is bad? Like don't patronize these toys. Patronize like the good old fashioned toys made by your local mom and pop store. Like, do you think that was what they were going for, or was it just like a coincidence?
I kind of think it was a little bit pointed, yeah, because like the and like the Baby Upchuck thing was like definitely like Garbage Pail Kids, or maybe even like people just dogging on like Cabbage Patch Kids being so dumb and ridiculous. I think it was like a total like I don't know, but what's fascinating about that is it's also just deeply cynical about everything, including Christmas.
Wow. So would you say it's like South Park almost? Like that level of like cynicism and contrarianism, just
I
like
don't know.
if South Park were to make a Christmas special.
Yeah, maybe not to that degree, but like there was such a really interesting scene at the beginning where like he's like, "Oh, I'm more depressed than usual," and my husband looks at me and he's like, "More than usual?" Like he's just clinically depressed, and I'm like, "Yep, I guess so."
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, I missed that. Oh no, that's too sad. Not in the
Yeah.
80s. No one was ever sad in the 80s.
Right? American exceptionalism. Yeah.
Not like we have the Cuban Missile Crisis. What? What's that?
I want to give this special credit in saying like, yes, it had a point of view in what it was displaying toys wise, but also I think it was just like, let's just be down about everything. So
I don't get the moral too. It's like the moral was like, oh no, you just have to give from your heart. And I had to think about this. I had to be like, what was giving from your heart? What did giving from your heart look like? Or giving from the inside? Like, he tries to, Santa tries to tie it back around to this like morality tale. And it's like, no, but you have to be selfless. But like, when was that ever a thing in this movie?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it's so funny because like on the second time I viewed this, because I probably watch this more than any human should. Like
watch it more than anyone in the world, probably.
Right. But like if you pay attention to the end though, like Santa does not address the root problems that like the elves are kind of in
for sure. Yeah.
precarious position. So it's just like, oh, we're gonna, it's status quo. It's fine. Like,
right, that is weird. Oh, that's a good point. Like, what now? Like, okay, well, I guess it's like the rumors were false. The rumors were like fake news. So he just has to swoop in and clarify, like, no, you're not actually gonna get fired. You're not gonna get laid off. But in the opening scene was about how the sales were declining. So yeah, that wasn't addressed. So
they're
good luck.
Still, they're still screwed. Like they're
yeah. 30 years later, the kids wouldn't want toys anyway. They would want like apps or whatever. I don't know what the kids wanted in 20 YouTube videos. I don't know.
Yes, our YouTube videos.
Yeah. That's what they want now.
Absolutely. Well, we're just giving people what they want. So yeah, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but oh my gosh, I had such a blast talking with you, and you brought up some like amazing points. So before I go, please shout out all your socials where people can check you out, and I will of course link your channel in the description.
Hey, I appreciate that so much, Michael. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm just Fredster2000 on YouTube, and that all my socials are there, but I haven't been posting much. I probably should, but like you can just reach out to me through my Blue Sky, my Instagram. There's all of that's in the description of my videos. Again, I just make videos on like 90s to 2000, actually 2000s to 2010s internet phenomena and pop culture stuff, similar to what you do, Michael. So we're not that different. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, it is that era is just so fascinating to me, and I just kind of want to stop time and document like everything I could about this weird time in pop culture that we're just kind of like whizzing by and not paying attention to. So I'd love to. So I just check my channel out if you want to go into that with me. So thank you, and thanks so much, Michael, for letting me ramble about this fever dream we collectively encountered. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I needed to tell someone. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And do check out Fredster's videos. They are awesome. I am such a huge fan, and thank you so much again. Like I said, check the description. I will link the channel and your socials, so it'll be just super easy to find. But support this creator, and thank you so much again.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah,
appreciate it.